Three, two, one. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. We're going to wait about a minute or so to let everyone join, and then we're going to get started. So feel free to ask in the chat where you connected from today, if it's sunny or not. It's very sunny in London today, so please feel free to let us know.
Yeah, it is. Oh, from Egypt, it must be even... Yes, it's only 30 degrees in London, so yeah.
Cool. I was just going to give everyone a little bit of time to make sure that they join. I know there's a lot of people waiting to get in.
Perfect. I'm very excited about today, Davide. I don't know, I hope you are as well.
I am pretty excited. You can probably tell.
No, not really. It's all come across.
You calm under pressure.
Okay, good stuff. Yeah, let's wait another 30 seconds and then we'll kick off things properly. Actually, maybe let's start to introduce ourselves, etc., like this. While we're waiting for other people, we got plenty of people from Egypt today, which is great news.
Oh, yeah.
So welcome to the webinar, guys. So we are very happy to be with you today. And Davide and I, our simple objective for us is to show you how you can best leverage Emplifi social data during a pitch or when you have a strategic brief to answer. So I'm delighted to have Davide with me, who is our solution consultant. He knows everything about Emplifi. So I'm very lucky to have him, and he will take you through a big chunk of today's presentation and showing you how to best leverage Emplifi during your pitch. And myself, very quickly, I spent almost 20 years on the agency side, and I moved into the tech industry only a few years ago. So I thought about this earlier when I was preparing this webinar. I think I've done over 100 pitches in my life. So I really understand, the intensity, the pressure, and the long hours that you guys put into a pitch. So my focus here today is really to help you to have this unique data to really help you to understand the consumer behavior to shape your pitch strategy. So that's exactly what we will unpack for you today. So I think let's kick off things properly now.
Yeah. So welcome everyone.
Perfect. Thank you, Davide. So agenda for today, before we dive in. So really a bit of context to start with. And then we will really focus on 3 key pillars that you can leverage during a pitch. The first one being the social expertise. And then we look at the social insight that you get out of Emplifi. And then how you can leverage social performance during a pitch with Emplifi. And for each of these sections, we'll have some key takeaways to really kind of highlight what you need to remember from today's session. So a bit of context. It is so expensive to run a pitch for an agency. We all agree on that. And really our goal here at Emplifi is to help you to win maybe an extra pitch every year because you are using Emplifi. And Davide will show you this today. And to be honest, if we can help you to win another 2 pitches thanks to Emplifi data, we'll be very happy and very proud. But we know it is very difficult to win a pitch because clients are risk adverse and they need to justify everything. They need to justify the strategy for their brands. They need to justify the creative route that you are presenting. They need data to support these new ideas. And to be fair, it is understandable that clients are risk adverse. I'm not going to dwell on it, but external pressure, we live in a very complicated world, let's face it. They have also a lot of internal pressures, in terms of, being very short-term focus with clear KPIs, also very kind of conscious of any kind of backlash that could happen on social media. And let's be fair, they're very compliance led. They're taking a risk if they go off track and they test something new. So the consequences of all this is they're missing the opportunity to grow their brand and to lead the market. And we see that with many of our brand clients, that the most successful one are the ones that are bold, the ones that leverage data and understand the consumer behavior to kind of take the lead and move things forward. So today, this session is really rooted in reality. It's not Emplifi who is trying to push you to use Emplifi as much as possible. It's really coming from our agency partners, from the big holding company right to the independent agencies who are all leveraging Emplifi during their pitch process. And that's, I think, really the trigger for today's session is really to help you understand how you can leverage Emplifi maybe in a new way or in a kind of improved manner moving forward. And one last point before we kind of dive into the social expertise is the efficiency. We are very lucky to work with Digital Farm, which is the fastest growing social media agency in the Middle East. And basically, they have adopted Emplifi about a year ago, and they have seen the productivity increase by 40%. And that's something, it's not only important for you guys as an agency and for your CFO, who will love to hear that you can do things faster. But it is also very important for your client to know that they are working with an agency that is fast, that is performing, and that is efficient. So that's really what we are going to focus on as well today. Enough of the context. Now let's kind of unpack, these kind of three pillars to really demonstrate how you can, from an agency standpoint, add value at every pitch, thanks to the social insight and the social performance. So first pillar is really the social expertise. You might be aware that Emplifi has published for the past, I think, decade, Davide, if I'm correct. Yeah. Our industry benchmark, okay? And this enable you to benchmark your client against the competition, any kind of players in the category, but also demonstrate your performance versus the industry, and even manage your kind of client expectation as well. They need to kind of, their dreams, their vision need to be realistic with the performance of the category that they are in. And this industry benchmark, we can even do ad hoc research with our data team and give you some more custom data. So that's something I've done recently for an agency in Italy, where basically they wanted the reach for 2024 and 2025 across a couple of social channels. That wasn't part of the report, but the data team done an amazing work to put this together and share the data and the graph to really help the agency to prove their value and their expertise for their client. And we do this industry benchmark across many industries. So some of these reports are available only at a global level. Some others are available at global and regional and even at a market level. So have a look at this list. We'll share the presentation as well, but please reach out to your Emplifi agency partner, and we'll be very happy to share the relevant report with you guys. And one of the key points is why this report is important. Why they matter so much. It's not just for our own kind of benefit and to have Emplifi everywhere. It really, for us, it enables you guys to demonstrate your value, your expertise, because that helps you to build credibility and trust. Because you can demonstrate your understanding of the industry and the challenges that the brand is facing. So that would definitely help you to build trust and credibility. And then in the kind of pitch context, this report can help you to overcome some objection, because you know what the industry standards are, you know what good look like in the category, and you can be very prepared to have a constructive conversation with your clients. And that will help you to really elevate the conversation to focus on what is the role of the brand moving forward in this category, knowing what the industry is doing. And all this is possible because we give you unique data that actually your client don't have access to, and that's something that is very important and very key. Another thing that, to demonstrate your expertise is leveraging our social content calendar. So I'm sure you guys do this for many of your clients, and sometimes you have to do it from scratch. Don't do it anymore. Speak to Emplifi. We have our social media calendar template where we have a marketing team who keep this up to date. So you can really build from it, and you are not starting from scratch. So from a efficiency point of view, I think that will really help you to drive this efficiency in your agency. All this is to show you that this data and this content is unique to you guys at an agency level. So that's a very important differentiator, and also it's a good way to showcase your value and your expertise in the eyes of the client. Another example is what we call the retroactive content label that Davide is going to share with you now.
Yeah, so if there is one tip and the lowest of hanging fruits that I can suggest for anyone using Emplifi at any time, whether that is for reporting or for pitching or any other usage, is to use the labels. The labels can be used manually, and you might be familiar with tagging content, but it can also be automated. And this can be done for your content, but also content for prospective clients, content for competitors of your prospective clients, listening, incoming content, and so on. And this gives you so much good data because it doesn't just give you a number for interactions or number of posts or engagement rate. It gives you the breakdown of what are the topics and themes and products, campaigns, anything, any segmentation that you want to enact. It will give you that granular level of data. So that helps you, and we'll see an example of this later, understand and compare maybe campaigns across different regions or across different competitors. It might give you insights around which product gets the best sentiment in a specific campaign. This is invaluable data if you're pitching, because you can start forearmed with some great data that you can present and build your next campaign on. We'll see how to set this up very briefly later on, and again, speak to your agency partner if you need any help in this. It can be used in a variety of different ways, and we'll touch upon some of this. You can see it on the slide as well. This can be used for product mapping, creative attribution. Labeling can also be done on a layer framework, meaning that you can break down by regions and product lines and individual products or variations. So you can actually go very deep into what makes the content tick.
Perfect. Thank you, David. And that could be done automatically as well. So in terms of efficiency, again, that will be a game changer. So key takeaways from the social expertise: leverage the industry benchmark to build your credibility and trust with your client. If you're looking for specific data to win a pitch, speak to your Emplifi partner. We're here to help, and we've got a data team who can help you. And really enhance your planning strategy with our automated benchmarking labels that Davide just mentioned. And now, moving on, we're going to take you through the social insight.
Yes. So by social insights, we mean all of the information that you can collect ahead of time when you're preparing a pitch, in order to arrive prepared both on what might be the trends and the areas of interest of the prospective clients of your prospect, but also analyze the content that is already out there, maybe the past campaign with the current agency or the competitive landmark and landscape that you might be operating in, so you arrived ready with some ideas and strategies, and you would have learned from everything that happened before you join. Now, we do have different parts of the platform that will help you in this journey. We will be able to provide you with brand health analysis. This can be done both by potentially running a survey and interviewing some current customers of your prospect or some desired customers. It can also be run on the content from the last 6 months, year, or even longer for a brand that you're targeting. You will be able to also identify who the competition is and what the strategy is. How is it different or similar to what your prospect is doing? What are the campaigns or the products or the general trends that they are adopting? On the topic of trends, we also have the ability to set up and create a listening analysis that can give you both insights around what the consumers really think. So this is anything that someone might be saying about the brand on social media and online, but also it will give you that share of voice that, together with the benchmarking or your prospect against your or their competition, will give you the other side of the equation. We will also potentially be able to investigate what content is being put out by influencers or creators that are currently collaborating with our brand of choice, see if that strategy is effective, potentially identify or suggest different campaigns. And the sentiment underpins all of this across both the content that is created by the brands and the mentions received by the people that write this. So I will be sharing my screen and you will see a test account for the Emplifi platform. However, bear in mind that because this is all public data, we're not sharing anything specific to any customers. Bear with me 1 second as I start sharing the screen. And you should be able to see the Emplifi screen now.
Yes, perfect.
Good. So what you're looking at here is one of the integrated sections of Emplifi that is available as part of the ecosystem. The VOC module is the ability to create surveys. These surveys have a variety of different uses and can be used both before a prospect comes on board, but afterwards as well, in the context of maybe some commerce website where you want to collect the data of a particular path within the website. It can be used as part of your social campaigns. So if you're doing any care or media monitoring or any community management, you might want to send out some surveys after your customer care team has collaborated or conversed with your final user. Now, in the context of the pitch, this allows you to put together a very detailed set of questions. This could include things like NPS scores or questions that you customize based on your requirements. It does contain skip logic, so if certain questions are not appropriate to the particular conversation, they can be skipped. It's quite complex, it's quite ad hoc, and it can be deployed through a website or through a link, for example. So if you already have a panel of experts or consumer or clients of your prospect, you can submit this and use the system not just to generate the survey and configure it however you want, but also to collect the data behind it. And it does have some AI features that will also help you in understanding what the trends are when you analyze this content. You can leverage this to make decisions and understand the scores, what are the most popular answers, and identify how people really feel about a campaign that you might want to launch. On the topic of the data that is available within the system, we also have a very solid reporting background. You might know Emplifi for the range of data and metrics that we offer. We do have different ways of visualizing this. One that I'm going to start with is the ability to use and visualize dashboards that can be built ad hoc to collect all sorts of data, whether that is organic data, paid data, listening data. Any of the touch points can be added within the system. You have at your disposal hundreds of metrics that you can create and customize as needed. Specifically, if you wanted to, you can also create custom metrics. This could be used, for example, to create some non-standard KPIs that you want to track for your prospect, either because they suggest it or because you've got something in mind. Now, when it comes to the dashboard, I created a very streamlined one just to show you some ideas of how the platform can be used in the context of a pitch. For example, I'm using the example of Marks & Spencer, which is a famous retailer and supermarket in the UK. I'm analyzing what has been the best and weakest content in the last year. So I'm doing this by adding different metrics. In this case, for example, I'm using interactions to sort the content and identify what have been the campaigns that have resonated, but also the ones that may not have had the success they expected. And we do this because if you're pitching to a brand like M&S in this case, you may already come prepared with some good content based on what really works, or you will be able to advise that some campaigns maybe might not be as effective as they might desire. This can be customized based on different platforms, different types of content. You could have the best performing reels next to the best performing carousels, for example. But we can go deeper than that. We can analyze the content, for example, by the format. So, for example, for Marks & Spencer, as we see, photo and reels are fairly close, but photos are the ones that are performing the best, meaning that perhaps as you pitch, you might leverage this information and suggest that a certain campaign should run as a photo and a reel as opposed to a carousel. You can also visualize the sentiment of the content, so that gives you a bit of an insight around how the brand is perceived. Potentially, you might want to explore this data in more details to see what is actually the positive content and what are the positive stories behind it, or what was the content that wasn't received as well. A lot of this data is clickable, so clicking through the dashboard will take you to see the individual posts and the metrics relating to them. Further to that, we can visualize benchmarks. I've added a couple of competitors of Marks & Spencer like Waitrose and Sainsbury's because we want to see, for example, who has received in the last year the most interaction out of all the content that they published. And we want to break it down by platforms as well. This will give us insights around who our competition is and how they act. This could be very valuable, again, if you click into the data and you go and see the posts behind this, but also if you combine it with the concept of the labels that we talked about earlier. Amo mentioned the fact that this process can be automated, which is one of the great advantages of using this. It can be actioned retroactively as well. So if I've just received a request for a pitch today for Marks & Spencer, I'm still able to easily categorize and analyze what the content has been about in the last year and how it stacks up against the competition. So we can see here that out of all of the campaigns that I'm monitoring, the summer campaign was the one that was the most successful for Marks & Spencer, followed by perhaps the Easter campaign and so on. You can also see how all of the other brands are doing and maybe pitch them head to head. So you can see that maybe when it comes to Valentine's Day, Marks & Spencer Facebook was way more successful for Waitrose because of a particular post or a particular topic. You can, of course, change and rearrange the visibility using the breakdowns and the filters so that you have many data points that can be analyzed to give you a different flavor of the data. So, for example, we see here that out of all of the profiles, M&S Instagram was the most successful, and we can see which campaign ran the best. Further to that, we talked about listening, which is done through a series of keyword searches. This can be set up in order to provide insights around what people like you and I are talking about on social when they talk about Marks & Spencer or the competitors. What is the sentiment like? Are there any particular keywords that pop up again and again? By using a combination of public profiles and the labels that we mentioned, we are also able to see, for example, which of the influencers that have collaborated with Marks & Spencer have had the best results. This can help you shape maybe some influencer campaign that you're creating for them. Obviously, as usual, please feel free to add questions in the chat if you have any. We'll also have some time at the end in order to answer any other questions that you might have had. Now, this is one of the ways that data can be reported upon, but if you don't want to go and create a specific dashboard every time, you also can leverage what we call unified analytics. This is a way for you to arrive at data very quickly and get to the point of exactly what it is that you want to know. It's based on templates, you can easily populate it, but you can also create new templates through AI charts if you want more. I mention this because this is also a good place to see data from your listening. We mentioned you can create searches to find specific content and campaigns. Here is where you would analyze it by selecting one or more queries that you want to review. So in my case, if I go and select all of my search for Marks & Spencer and I run it for this year, then that'll give me some information around how many mentions I've received in a specified range of time. Or by using the filters, I can specify the mentions around a certain campaign. I can then see what were the trends around authors and around number of mentions. My query specifically run into the month of February, but I can also split it in different ways to see if there have been any peaks or if there's been any particular focal points where my content was better received or generated more interest. I have the ability to break down this content based on sentiment, because perhaps I want to see if certain channels reacted more or less positively to specific topics that I'm analyzing. I can also see a breakdown by platforms. Maybe I'm monitoring certain platforms for different reasons, or I may have launched a campaign that was exclusive to Instagram. All of this allows me to review content in a variety of different ways and access it very quickly. You might see here the sources that we monitor. You might be pleased to know that we're also adding TikTok as a listening source coming up this quarter. And by the end of the year, we'll also be adding Reddit as an additional source. On top of that, in order to give you insights that are quick and actionable, we have developed some AI features that will arrive at what are the topics and dimensions that are the most important for you. So rather than having to dig through all of the individual mentions, at a glance, you can see here what are the topics, what are the sentiment and the contextual keywords that had the most impact into the searches that we're analyzing. You can see other options to visualize positive and negative content in the form of a word cloud. You can see specific emojis or themes and hashtags that have been making a difference. You can track authors by impressions and mentions. This might give you, together with the demographics, an idea of the audience that you might need to target for your surveys or for the upcoming campaigns that you will pitch to Marks & Spencer. All of this data can be shared across your colleagues. It can be downloaded, exported, or scheduled as you need. So we've seen quite a lot of different sources of data. And before we close this section of the presentation, I just wanted to introduce another one which we launched very recently. And it's another AI feature that we have developed to help you make sense of this content. This is an AI summary that can be created based on all of the content that is selected by dimensions and the queries and the searches that you created. This will give you very practical and quick insights in what are the main topics and themes that people are talking about in the search that you created. This is a very simple series of paragraphs that at a glance will give you all the information that you need and some examples of the posts behind the story. So you know exactly what the audience or potential audience of your prospect might be talking about. And this is going to be key for you to really understand what is working and what's not. I'm going to pause for a second and go back to my presentation. And you should be able to see some insights and some takeaways.
Yes, thank you, David. We had many questions in the Q&A section of the chat. So thank you, and please bring them on. We're here to answer them. So 3 things to remember. A, obviously, social data enhance your consumer insight. That's, I think, now well established, and you know this. So please bring social data to every pitch or every brief that you are working on. you can access unique consumer insights. And I think the key word here is really unique. It is an insight that only you have access to through the listening or the social survey and the benchmarking report that Davide showed you. And that's, I think, a key differentiator amongst your peers, but also in the eyes of the brand that you're working with. And finally, bring everyone to Amplify. This is relevant not only for the social team or the digital team. Everyone, from new business to the research or the data team could have access to Amplify. As you know, we don't charge by the number of users. So if you need extra users to access Amplify, we'll unlock this for you. So please share the good news. They can leverage Amplify at any stage with their brand, with their clients.
Very good.
Yeah. Now, Davide is going to talk to you about social performance, the last pillar for today.
Yes. So within the scope of social performance, we want to talk about about some collaboration tools that will help you create ideas that you're going to use for the pitch and validate those ideas. So it's a way for you to operate efficiently within the platform, collaborate with your co-workers and arrive at some content that you can validate, but also suggest to your prospect as you pitch to them that you have an additional set of tools that can give them some insights should they decide to come on board. And I'll explain what those are. So just to give you a quick flavor of what we will talk about and what we will see on the platform, we have ways to increase the visibility of published content. When clients come on board, we are able to suggest what might be the best time for them to publish. We can also give them some insights around content that has been published in the last 6 months and what was the most successful one that maybe they want to boost. We do have some collaboration tools to improve efficiencies. This could be, for example, to assign content to our other co-workers or to build a content calendar. We have also some predictive data in the system that can show you what might be the best performing content, as we mentioned, or what might be the strategy of a competitor around boosting and promoting content. We have other tools. You've seen some of it in the previous dashboard around showing the best performing format that can inform all of this process of creation. And we do have some additional AI features that will make your life a bit easier. So I will show a little different section of the platform now that, again, might give you some ideas about what it is that you might want to pitch to your clients should you decide to. So let me share my screen. And you should once again be able to see it in a second.
Perfect.
Very good. So what you're looking at is a section called content, which captures all of the data at the post level within the Emplifi platform. This could be for organic content from your own account, from public accounts that you add into the platform. It could include listening and ads content, but it also does have a feature called collections, which is a way for you to create a series of folders or collections, as you see here, and save content into it. This is a great collaboration tool because especially if you are collecting content for an upcoming campaign, you have some tools that will really help. What those are, for example, the ability to collaborate with specific users, share the dashboards and collections with them, and vote on the content that you like the most that you might want to include in your pitch deck. You might also want to leave notes for your colleagues and have a conversation around what the potential strategy could be. This can be used to save content from your own account or from prospective clients and their competitors, which I've done here for Max Spencer and Waitrose, to analyze this content both independently, internally within the platform, but also by using the AI image score functionality that we added. What this does is to provide some context and a score for all of the assets and the images that you add in here. You'll see that there is a little description about what the image shows and suggestions around how to make it better, together with a percentage score of the image quality that promotes the images that are likely to perform better. This has a couple of interesting implications when it comes to creating content for a pitch. One would be that, for example, this could be help you decide what is the content that you want to use in a pitch deck, or by creating a suggested content calendar. The other aspect of this could be to validate the pictures that you receive from the creative team that might not be to your liking, and you might have a scientific basis to show that some other images perhaps might perform better, or even just to get some tips and suggestions around how to improve the image for better success and performance on social. So all of this content can be shared with the right people that are participating to the pitch. You can also create specific posts or save posts in here that can be later on used within the system and the publisher and calendar that you will use. Once you have determined the assets, you have access to additional functionalities within the publisher. Now, the publisher is typically where you monitor and organize your content calendar. So potentially you could add in here some notes, like I've done, to specify when certain campaigns should start, or some critical times that you need to hit with your pitch, or to create a suggested content calendar that you might want to pitch to show what kind of content you would suggest publishing should you acquire your new client. This can be done in accordance to what Emma was saying earlier, and use our own data to populate this calendar, but also it gives you the visibility to create multiple variations of posts at scale and to have that content ready to prepare for a pitch. This could be used if you need to present what your content strategy would be for the next week, month, quarter, etc. In the system, you can easily and quickly create content that is going to be published on social channels by selecting the right profiles and creating the content by adding some text or some assets. On the text part, you can use our AI feature to quickly generate a prompt based on some goals or what campaigns you're going to suggest to your clients. In this case, I've created a prompt around Marks & Spencer and the new strawberry and cream content. We can decide what the tone, language, and format of the content should be, if you want to include hashtags, emojis, or the length of the content. We do have a feature that also learns from the voice of a brand or a customer and uses that to input new similar tone of voice into the content created through the prompts. But in this particular case, the reason why we might want to create this content is to quickly generate at scale some posts that we might want to use to populate our calendar. I've added 3 here because then I can have different variation of this content all in one process. So I've selected different social channels. I've selected my text. I may also upload my content from, for example, my computer, or I can just use the collections to add all the content that's been vetted and approved ahead of time. I can label my content for specific campaigns. So in my case, I need to add a destination, and I can access scheduling tools. Now, this one might not be specifically dedicated to the pitching process because it requires the client's data, but it's going to be a good tool to suggest that you have should a client come on board, because the system will suggest the best time to publish on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for specifically the accounts that you connect in here. So it will give you different variations of when it's best to publish and how much more visibility you can obtain. This is a good selling point in terms of the knowledge that you can offer to the clients that might become on board. So I'm scheduling the content, and what I can do next is to customize this to create different variations for each individual channel. So I can just delete the first variation of the post, and I can create a different variation of the post for a different channel. So by saving all of this, it will allow me to create a rich content calendar to support my pitches. Again, if you have any questions on any process that we've seen so far or anything that comes to mind, please do share within the chat. Now, we've seen how to validate this data through the assets to create text and posts within the system to populate your content calendar. A couple of other things that I want to leave you with are around analyzing specific kind of strategic data that might be particularly useful for you. So one is the ability to predict performance of certain content or brands. And we will use, once again, Marks & Spencer as an example. What this algorithm does is to identify what is the most actionable content within Marks & Spencer's Facebook page. By assigning a score with a letter, you will be able to identify what is the best performing content for Marks & Spencer specifically from the last 6 months. And by using this information, you can suggest what they do really well and what's the content that for their standards perform really positively, so that you can suggest more of it. But also this can be used in order to define your boosting strategy and give you useful tips around what's performing really well and allow you to boost it in real time. So all these insights give you a great breakdown of successful content, which is easily accessible and is benchmarked against the brand's own content and profile. So you'll know already at the pitching, at the moment of pitching, what good looks like specifically for that brand. What is the most successful content? It'll make you look knowledgeable. It will give you great talking points. Other prediction tools are around promoted post detection. And this is a way to understand how the boosting and promotional strategy of this content on Facebook is operating for Marks & Spencer. So you can see here that the efficiency is pretty low. We do like to see users be in this circle of beneficial efficiency. The two axes are around the promoted content and the organic content that is generated, and it gives you the balance of whether you're spending too much or whether you are maybe using too much organic content. You will be able to track this at the post level, even by visualizing each individual post, so that you can see that, for example, the content that is being promoted at the moment is not actually really performing better than organic content. You might be using all the tools that we've seen until now, suggest a better strategy that is going to give them more efficiency when they boost. The good thing about this is that, like a lot of other benchmarking data within the system, it can allow you to see benchmarking content for their competitors as well. So if I select Waitrose, for example, I will see any other content where Waitrose has been promoting content, if there is any, and I can repeat the same thing for Sainsbury's and see if they are the kind of people who are promoting a lot or not so much. So you can see the different degrees of positioning and all of the boosted content, which helps you compare organic and boosted strategies. So I'm going to stop sharing and go back.
Yeah, Davide, we got a very interesting question from Augustina about how the AI can help with the performance of variations of content for each channel. So basically, is it better for Facebook? Is it better for X, etc.?
So in terms of determining the variation of the content when it's being created, well, with the AI, potentially you can create different types of prompts depending on the type of content you're creating. So based on the length or based on specific characteristics. I think before we skip to thinking about AI, there is some research that comes behind it, because the AI itself is a tool. What I would recommend doing first is going through the step that we discussed and maybe analyze what is the performance on the different channels, what is competitive performance against the channels, and that will give you the campaigns that have been performing well. That will give you the kind of formats that you need to pursue. And once you have that, by combining that knowledge with the knowledge that comes from the labels, so understanding what are the themes and topics and what people are talking about online when it comes to listening, that will help you generate great prompts, and then the AI will do the rest. But okay. I wouldn't adopt AI as the one thing that will give you the solution. You can use AI to analyze the rest of the data. AI will give you some answers, and then it will give you the opportunity to create new prompts specific for whichever channel you are creating. I hope that makes sense as an answer, but if you need any more insights, speak to your agency partner and it'll give you some more ad hoc information.
Perfect. Thank you, David. And one last thing, because I was busy answering questions in the chat, and I forgot if we talk about the content scoring performance.
And we talked about that in the it's one of the pages that are flashed.
Yeah, well done. And that's one thing I wanted to highlight, and that could be part of my kind of key takeaways as well. So I will try to share the slide if I can do it, or maybe you can do it.
Do it. I mean,
here we go.
Okay. Sorry.
Perfect. So why I wanted to highlight the content scoring performance is because, typically if you receive assets from a global toolkit and you're not completely happy with, you can leverage this AI and this scoring system to kind of push back and say, look, we do need to create some local asset because it's not the right one. And also it's a good way during a pitch process to say, look, this is a good creative route because even, we've got this scoring system in place and it does validate the creative that you're putting in front of your client. So that's another angle. So just three key takeaways. Always on. I think from a performance point of view, we all know this, but I think you can tell that with Emplifi, we enable you to look at both paid and organic content from a performance point of view. I think the key thing is to work out what is a client framework from when it comes to performance, and please reach out to us to see if we can adapt certain things and help you to create some custom metrics to enable you with this performance. And really, performance prediction for me is very key. I talked at the beginning about client being risk adverse. I think this performance prediction will give them reassurance that they're making the right move by choosing your agency during the pitch process. So we are reaching the end of today's webinar. A couple of things before we open the floor to maybe even more questions. The first one is, you can tell now with Emplifi, your agency is data powered. We're not your unique source of data, obviously, but I hope that you will see that today we can definitely contribute to bring you both quantitative and qualitative data during your pitch process. So that's, I think, one key thing to remember. And the last point is maybe a bit less expected, I would say, is, feel free when you are talking to your client during a pitch process to understand what is their ecosystem, what is their tech ecosystem, and see how we can work with them to connect Emplifi to their tools. And not only, because it will make your life easier, but also it will kind of reinforce your relationship with the brand. Because if you are sharing the same tools on both ends, it is going to be harder and harder to remove the agency. So I think you should see that as a strong connection to reinforce your position. So again, please speak to your agency partner to help you navigate this topic. I think we're going to open the floor to a couple of questions. I wanted to share with you that we are enabling our agencies to do some certification. So you can register to the platform. I think we are going to put this in the chat, the link to access your agency platform, where you got access to all these details and you can get the certification. So that's the first thing. And two, we're going to have a little poll in the chat about today, what you think about today's webinar. And I will invite you as well to scan, if you can take 1 minute to scan this lovely QR code, just to tell us, what are the topics that you'd like to hear from us in the near future. So it's just 1 or 2 questions that it will make a huge difference to help us to shape the content of this webinar to make it more relevant for you. So now I'm just looking at the Q&A session to see if I've got, if I got more questions. No, I think we answered most of them in the chat already, so we're good to go. Perfect. Thank you everyone for attending the webinar today. Thank you so much, Davide. Well, I can see that Enrique had a question. I was a bit unclear about the post-performance feature. To clarify, we can upload brand asset, blah, 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 blah. Davide, do you want to take this one?
Yes, so depends which part we're talking about, but if I can kind of read between the lines, I think we're talking about the post-performance with the letter scores or the post-performance in general. Either way, what happens is that you are able within Emplifi to add profiles that are not just your private ones, but are the public ones. So these are the ones that you would create or add for a prospect, competitors, anyone that you want to explore. And the system will automatically extract that public data from the system through a combination of either the data that we can pull from the API or some algorithms that we've developed to give you some insights around that. So all you need to do to access those, if you have the right features in the platform, is to simply add the public profiles. And again, if you need any specific details and indications of where to go and where to click, speak to your agency partner.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Davide. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Ciao. Bye-bye. Ah, no.